Hi, baby boomer fans. We are Jackie and Janine, the Pfeiffer sisters, and love to talk about the 1950s, inviting you to reminisce with us as we explore experiences of that decade. Grab your favorite malt or Green River. Make sure you are wide awake and get ready to be inspired about the 1950s. Welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat. Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. It's going to be another wonderful day for another wonderful history nugget of the 1950s. Right, sister?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everyone. I always like to draw your eyes down to the bottom of the screen where you see www.whilethewindmillwatch.com. So please go there for further education in rural America. You will also see in the upper right-hand corner our book, While the Windmill Watched, A Slice of Rural America in the 1950s. And it was due to this book and the questions it elicited from readers that we have this 1950s Fun Chat. So besides the more information about the book at our website, you can go there for looking at all the vendors. We have 49 vendors. We have over 240 Fun Chat guests, and so you can go there and look at those guests, and wherever Janine and I will be book signing or greeting or appearing, you can check that out if we happen to be near you. So let's get started. Thanks for joining us. So I have a question for you all. Where can college degrees in mathematics and chemistry take a person in the business world? Well, let's find out where they took our guest, Bonnie Schmidt. Bonnie was born and raised in Dickinson, North Dakota in 1947, the oldest of 4 siblings. She graduated from Dickinson High School, earned a BS degree in chemistry and mathematics from Dickinson State University, and an MS degree in mathematics from Wichita State University. Her education continued as she embarked on a variety of careers. She retired in 2012. Bonnie married Herbert Schmidt in 1968. They have 2 sons, 4 grandsons, and 1 great-grandson. Bonnie is an avid reader and traveler. She's a member of 2 book clubs and has visited all 50 states and numerous countries. Bonnie, welcome to this 1950s Fun Chat.
Thank you, and happy May Day.
Well, the same to you. Thank you. So before we delve into the benefits of those degrees, let's go back to your childhood in the late 1940s and early 50s. Rural electrification rapidly improved rural life in America. How was your family personally affected by this movement?
My father was hired as a lineman for the Rural Electric Cooperative in Dickinson, North Dakota, and he worked his whole career there. Absolutely loved it because every day was a new adventure to him. He enjoyed every aspect of it. He had many interesting times. I know he talks about them trying to put the lines into the Badlands of North Dakota. And he told about how they hung a pole, a 40-foot pole from a wire from one of their trucks and slid it down a butte in the Badlands and into its proper location. And then they went down and had to mix the cement to put it into the ground permanently. But he enjoyed that job, even though he had many tough outings when the power went out during a blizzard or a storm. And he enjoyed it all. I remember one time when he and a fellow worker, they always worked in pairs. They drove their pickup out to the Badlands to fix someone's power line. And they left the truck running and took the snowmobile off the truck bed and used the snowmobile to get to where they needed to go. Well, it was a terrible blizzard, and they ended up being stuck at the rancher's home for 5 days.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and they at least the rancher's phone worked, and he called West Plains Electric to let them know that the men were safe with him.
Mm-hmm.
But what was interesting was they ate his complete supply of frozen TV dinners in his freezer. And I remember that West Plains said they would pay the rancher back for all his freezer dinners.
Okay. So you mentioned, go ahead. Sorry, I have one question.
No, then he said when they wanted to go home, they had brought the snowmobile into the man's kitchen to keep it warm.
Oh.
So it would not freeze up and they would be able to get back to their truck. But of course, when they got back to their truck, the gas had run out because they had been running. So they drained the gasoline from the snowmobile into the tank of the truck to get them 15 miles to the nearest town so they could fill up again.
Okay.
But that was one of his many adventures.
Go ahead. My first thought is that did they not mix a bit of oil and gas in with the snowmobile, or was it straight gas? Obviously, it was just straight gas. They didn't do any mixing of oil.
I don't remember. I don't know.
That was my first thought. They had to fix it up. Okay, go ahead, Janine.
Well, yes, and I'm thinking your dad and his partner must have just developed such a close relationship in everything that they did. They had to look out for each other and work together. They each shared those responsibilities. Did he ever keep up with the friendship of his lineman brother, I'm going to say?
Yes, they stayed friends till both passed away. Yes. And he had friends all over. I remember as a young girl when they were first installing lines in the rural part, when he would get to go to install a line to a relative's home, my mother would send my brother and I along with him so we could visit family. And that was exciting for us. And also then we knew what our dad did for work.
Right.
And it was we would go to our grandparents or we would go to an aunt and uncle on the farm. So it was lots of fun.
And was this in the early 1950s?
Yes, the early 1950s.
Okay.
Before that, he had been a driver for Midwest Motors, and one of the experiences he had was he delivered the bell for our church. Our church was a newly built Lutheran church in Dickinson, a very big church. And when he delivered the bell, he told them he would put it in the bell loft because my father was not afraid of heights. So he willingly went up and hung it in the loft. And I remember on his 80th birthday, the pastor Thielen from our church mentioned that Ben had put the bell in the church steeple, so that everyone in the church was reminded of that.
Yes.
Great.
What a job. It's kind of like we often see the wind towers and or even television towers, and we think, who climbs those? Who is unafraid to do that? But your dad was one of those.
Yes, he was. And I remember when he tore down a huge barn to build his garage with the wood from it. And a farmer had said he could have all the wood. But I remember at the end, my husband was with him, and he remarked, my father was on the top beam. All the arches for the barn were already down. My dad was on the top beam, and he's the one who was sitting there on a single beam, way up high. And my husband was just amazed. But he just swung off of that beam and down to the next floor, and then down from there to the ground. And my dad had no fear of heights.
Are you that way also, Bonnie?
I really don't have any trouble with them. You're right. I don't. I can stand on a glass. I remember being in Seattle on the Seattle Skyway, and I could stand on the glass beam and look down and see all of Seattle. My husband could not. Stayed back in the building and then felt he could look from there.
Yes.
So, yes, I guess I do.
Yeah. One of those gifts you don't think about until you have to.
Yes, yes.
Well, you mentioned your husband, Herb. So give us a little story about how you met.
Well, we were in the same English class in high school. He's a year older than me. And I was in the senior class of English. I had been advanced. I was only a junior. And I was put in the back row, I guess, to control the boys that were back there. I don't understand why they thought I should do that. But there were quite a few troublemakers in that row. And I was so impressed because Herb was in one row ahead of me, one seat ahead of me. And he did not laugh at the stupid things those boys did. And he did not pay attention to their silliness. Mm-hmm. And I was so impressed with that. And I thought, that's a very decent young man.
Yeah.
Well, little did I know that later I would start dating him and all that. But yeah, our groups ran together. Mm-hmm. Several of my girlfriends dated several of his boyfriends already. So.
And was there something else that Janine mentioned maybe you mentioned to her about a Dairy Queen?
Yes.
Oh, yes, the Dairy Queen in Dickinson, which was a main gathering place for many people. And my mother had sent me to get a quart of ice cream for her. She always sent me there. That was always a treat for anyone who visited at our home. Mm-hmm. And I had gone to get it, and I came out, and there was Herb parked there. And he was at school at NDSU, North Dakota State, and I was in college at Dickinson State. Mm-hmm. And so I stopped by to visit with him, and he was eating a quart of ice cream. That's what he always ordered. and before he went home to the farm. And we visited a bit, but I was so surprised when later that weekend he called and asked me to go out to a movie. And that just so surprised me. And I guess it was on a dare. His friend, one of his best friends, who dated one of my friends, had picked up the phone, dialed my number, and handed it to her. Walk.
Do you remember the name of the movie, Bonnie?
I believe it was Virginia Woolf. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Okay. And do you recall what the price of a Dairy Queen cone was, or a quart of ice cream?
Well, I know an ice cream cone itself was like 25 cents then. So a quart, I don't know. I don't remember what it cost.
Okay, sure. Yes.
I know that my mother always gave my cousins, my younger cousins, when they came for dinner, after dinner was over, she would give each cousin a quarter and tell them to go to the Dairy Queen. And they really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. Was Dairy Queen serving chocolate ice cream at that time? The chocolate cone?
No. Okay. Just white cones.
Yes.
You could get chocolate covering.
Yes.
No, but not chocolate ice cream.
So about what year was that, Bonnie?
That would have been in the 1960s.
Early 60s.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And far as when Herb and I met there, that was in 1967.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Because we married in 1968.
Uh-huh. Didn't take very long, huh?
No. 9 months later, I think we were married.
Neat.
Okay. So now let's hear about those degrees that took you through your career, beginning with your sugar beet research.
Oh, yes. We had just moved to Fargo in 1969, and I had our first son, and he was about 6 months old. And I had mentioned to my husband that NDSU called me to see if I would be interested in doing research for a sugar beet breeder. And I thought, well, I don't have a biology degree, but I have a chemistry degree. And if they think that's okay, I think I'll try it.
Mhm.
And so I worked just 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I always had a long weekend with my son, and we could go home to Dickinson to visit our parents,
Mhm.
and we could still camp and do everything we wanted. So I said, okay, I'll try it. And I worked for that gentleman for 7 years.
Mhm.
And I quit the year we were going to Mexico. My husband was in agricultural research, and they had summer nurseries in Mexico, winter nurseries, excuse me. And so every winter they grew a crop in Mexico, and then they grew 2 crops a year in North Dakota. So I decided it was time to quit working. And I guess it really affected the gentleman I worked for, because he quit and closed his program
Oh,
within 2 months of when I left.
Mm.
huh.
And
So,
I found that out later when I was on a trip to the agronomy conference in Las Vegas. And the gentleman I rode on the plane with discovered that I was the Bonnie that was in all of Dr. Cressman's notes.
ah,
And he said, do you know that he quit and he gave up his practice?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a very interesting job. I remember I would have to sample. I'd have 6 beakers of solutions running at the same time, all on a heater. And I got them all set up. And then I'd have to sample one every minute, a different one every minute. And that was the old-fashioned pipetting, where we sucked
Yeah.
with
Oh.
ourselves, sucked it out, put our finger over to hold it, and then take the sample and put it in. And of course, I have a friend who was a lab technician at the same time. She and I taught together at Moorhead State, and she had been a lab tech and had done that too. And we were like, how dangerous that was for our health.
Yeah.
However, we're both living now, and so I'm 77, so I'm sure it worked. It was fine.
Uh-huh.
Well,
So, Bonnie, tell me how you even got that job. How did someone know to call you?
I don't even remember how they did. I don't. I'm sorry. I wish I did.
Huh. Well, connections.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you were doing the research, what were you specifically looking for? What was your goal?
We were looking for the highest percentage of sugar, depending on the sugar beet.
Mhm.
Because, of course, American Crystal Sugar had a factory in Moorhead and has one up in Hillsboro.
Okay.
And that's where they harvest the sugar from the sugar beets,
Mhm.
which is made into cane sugar. It's like it's more potent than cane sugar.
Hmm.
And most of the world uses cane sugar.
Mhm.
So, what is this specifically used for? The beet sugar.
For all uses. I mean, that's the main sugar in our area when you buy from CH.
Mhm.
It's sugar beet sugar.
Mhm. And I would assume that sugar beet research is ongoing all the time.
Yes.
But are they looking for something other than a beet that has the highest sugar content, or do they care about
Such
how
as
resistant it is to pesticides, or
Of course.
and nutrition.
Yes. And that is, of course, more my husband's field than mine. But yes.
Mhm. Would you have liked to have been in research with another crop?
I can't say that I would have, because I really loved mathematics more than chemistry.
Okay.
That's why when we moved to Wichita with my husband's transfer, and he was in winter wheat research there. My favorite crop that he was in, because we had an actual summer. Spring wheat, they plant in May, they cross in July, and they harvest in September. So we had no summers to ourselves. And he was always working half a day on Saturday. But then when we moved to Kansas, he had a full weekend because they planted in September, harvested in May, and did their crossing in July. So I found that a better for our family too. Our boys enjoyed camping and going on swim meets. They both were swimmers. So we actually had a summer.
Johnny, was there ever any sugar beet research south of the equator that was done?
Yes, I believe so, in Brazil.
Okay. All right.
So
when we were in Sao Paulo, Brazil, for a Rotary conference, we met a man who was in the sugar beet research there. Of course, my husband always kept in contact with people. So, yes.
You mentioned the term crossing. What does that mean?
Crossing is when they produce a new hybrid.
Okay.
They take a male from one group of plants and a female from another and cross them to get a new hybrid.
Is the offspring then of that cross usually what is anticipated it will be, or with the cross, does certain genes come out that you don't think will to affect the outcome?
Yes, that happens. Yes.
Is your son involved with research also, plant research?
No, neither of my sons. And they always told their dad that when they worked the fields in high school and college. And they made good money working those fields, but they always said, we will never work with little green growing things.
All right.
Yes. How does mathematics play a part in seed research?
Well, there's statistics involved, of course, and they have to, and my husband learned very quickly after visiting with me that one of his fellow researchers was using statistics wrong, and he was then fired by the department because of his false results. And it's very important to use the statistics to prove what you want to prove, but it has to be valid. It can't be just something you make up. So
I'm going back to your childhood. As a little girl, did you work with plants? Did you grow a garden? What drew your interest then to seed research?
I really didn't have that much. My mother grew a garden, as all women did then, and I would help her with it, but I really never wanted to grow one. However, my husband, of course, grew one, and my mother asked me once when she was helping me harvest peas, because he had put the garden out at his research station near Castleton, North Dakota. And she said, what does a young couple need 5 50-foot rows of peas for? And I said, I don't know, Mom, but that's the way he grows it. He was used to Western North Dakota, where gardens don't do very well. And of course, the Red River Valley has that rich, loamy soil from the Lake Agassiz that used to be here. So we had more peas than we could use.
Did you freeze them then? Freeze them?
Oh, yes, I did. I always froze everything that he grew.
Give them away. Don't eat them.
Was he surprised when he was growing that many peas that they would produce so well in the valley?
Yeah, I think in the beginning he was, yes. But then he began to take that for granted. And of course, he still grows a garden now at our age. Yeah.
So what happened after the sugar beet research?
Well, then I stayed home and we went to Mexico, Had a wonderful visit there with our 2.5-year-old. And I remember one thing. I remember when he was little, I had taken all this stuff along to prevent against diarrhea because I thought a young child might be susceptible. But instead, he got constipated. And I had to ask my good friend there, whose husband worked with Herb, and I asked her, what should I do? And she said, feed him pancakes with lots of syrup. And she proceeded to make that for him right then. And he, that just did the trick.
Interesting.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Have you used it? Did you have to use it later on in the child's life?
No, he never had problems again.
So pancakes with syrup act like a laxative then?
Yes.
Evidently.
Huh.
Yeah.
What we don't learn on this program.
That's right. Right. A little nugget of information you may or may not be able to use.
That's right. That's right. Bonnie, was it hard to retire from your work when you were so involved in that?
Yes, it was. In fact, my husband is the one who pushed me because I had retired in 2012, and then they needed us back, 2 of us, and they begged us at a Christmas party if we'd please come and just teach the fall semesters. And I said, okay, I can do that as long as I'm done by Christmas. Well, we had 2 new grandsons then. Our first grandchildren were identical twin boys.
Oh my.
Very exciting. And so my husband said to me one winter, if you don't quit teaching, because he was retired already, he said, I am going to go and spend 2 months of winter in California with our grandsons and leave you here behind. And that did it. I said, okay, this is my last year. And so I quit then.
We've gone then from research to teaching. Now, what happened when you first started teaching and subsequently then?
Oh, teaching. Well, I was in graduate school at Wichita State, and I did mathematics because I knew I couldn't spend the time in the chemistry lab that the chemistry would need with my young boys at home. So I did mathematics, which I loved dearly. And as soon as I graduated, Herb had already moved to Fargo. He had already accepted a job here. And when I graduated, we moved as soon as I finished. And I was accepted at all 3 schools that I applied to. I applied at North Dakota State, Moorhead State in Minnesota, and Concordia College, a private school. But I had accepted the Moorhead State one, and it turned out to be a wonderful place to work. And I totally enjoyed those years.
And so you taught mathematics at Moorhead State?
Yes.
Okay. Can you recall some interesting student situations in the classroom?
Oh, I'm sure there are many. One thing I do remember is that at that time we were getting many exchange students from the country right next to India.
Pakistan, Nepal?
Nepal.
Okay.
We had many students from Nepal. And those students were so polite. I remember they would not enter a classroom unless the instructor invited them in. So they would stand in the doorway and wait until we said, you may come in. And they were exceptionally brilliant students. They always got the concept and they always did their homework. And I used their examples many times for the other students. And I actually hired several of them to work in our math tutor lab because they were so good at their mathematics.
Did you ever feel that it was hard to stay a step ahead of them?
No, because they hadn't had statistics there yet. And so they just were very good at what they did.
Neat.
Nice.
And
So
you
then
would-
that was what other teaching? You taught several other colleges / universities. What anyone other spots come to mind? Or
Well,
any-
I remember when we moved to Toledo, Ohio, and I had applied at Bowling Green State, but the neighbor across the street was the chair of the department, and he told me he would never hire me because I only had a master's degree, even though I had taught 25 years at Morehead State. But I said, fine. And I told him, well, in case you're interested, I taught the teachers, the elementary teachers course at our university.
Uh-huh.
And I use the same book that you are using.
So there.
So there you are. So anyway, I was accepted at the University of Toledo where I taught. And I remember the first day I went to teach, you just get used to having to adjust all the time. I had one route that I knew to get there. And what happens the first day of class, I left early as usual because I like to be in my office an hour before classes start to go over the material. And they had a detour. And they made all of us go to the left. And I thought, well, that isn't the way to school, but I'll just go there till I get to a big parking lot. Then I will stop in the parking lot and check the map.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin's, I had a map along.
Uh-huh.
So I got to the first parking lot and I checked the map and I discovered a way I could get to the university. But when I got to the university, I was like right on time. I pulled into the closest parking spot and literally ran with my books and lecture notes, carrying those heavy things to the room, and got in just as the students were arriving. So the first thing I did was put them all at the board. When I had been in college, I had had an exceptional instructor, Mr. Apoyan, who had been my high school teacher and then went to college with me. And he always put us at the board so that at the end of the class lecture, we went to the board so that we could do the problems and he could see that we knew how to do them before we left the class.
Mm-hmm.
So that was so helpful. And I used that many times in my own classroom. But anyway, I got there and these were the students and I put these 3 African-American boys at the board and told them to solve this problem. But they made it interesting because when they were done, they did a line dance at the board to show how proud they were of what they had done. And so I just let them go on and do that. But it was a fun class. I know it was a good time.
That was a good opening.
Yes.
Did you ever have that experience in your classroom again where there was a celebratory dance?
No, not in our northern Minnesota classrooms. No, those students don't dance. Not in public anyway.
Uh-huh.
Yes. When you being a plant researcher and your husband being involved in plant genetics, did you ever spend a lot of nights just discussing plant breeding?
Not really, because I don't really care. I don't think so. We probably talked more about statistics than anything. So.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Wonderful. Were you able to ever get your name associated with any particular plant research that was published?
No, but I did have my name published with some research I had done at Montana State University. I had won 2 National Science Foundation grants, one in 1967 when I was at University of Wyoming, and then in 1978 at the University of Montana. And at the University of Montana, I was involved in a mountain climbing group that my professor, my advisor, had started. And so I went and I asked my parents, and they said, well, my dad told me, if you want to climb mountains, you climb them, but you climb them with the correct footwear. So I went and I got a good pair of hiking boots, and we would go up every weekend into the mountains and hike to the top of a mountain. And I climbed 5 mountains in the range, the Absaraka Range, which is around Bozeman, Montana.
Wow.
And and then we collected material for our research. And I collected coal, actual coal, and that has hydrocarbons in it. And I used that coal in my research. And that research was published by the doctor I worked for. So that is the only research I have published.
Okay. Did you ever think as a young child growing up in town that you would be so involved with such an important part of agriculture?
No, I don't think I did. No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So reminds me of a Dr. Seuss book. Oh, what is it? The places you go, the things you'll see.
Yes. Yes.
With your 3 degrees. My.
It's amazing. Bonnie, this has been exciting. It is to learn of your story, the challenges that you faced and how you overcame them. And just the fact too that the Dairy Queen is involved in your story. I think that's pretty fun also. So we do thank you so much for being our guest on this 1950s Fun Chat. It's been wonderful.
You've been delightful.
And to hear your story.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So viewers, do come back again, because you never know what you might learn here on this 1950s Fun Chat. So tell your friends, even your relatives, about this 1950s Fun Chat. Till next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.